Hi, welcome back to When the Call Hits Home. I'm Jennifer,
And I'm Ashley.
and we are happy to be back on. And it's just Ashley and I today, which is, I think, important because we had some things that we wanted to talk to you guys about, just about when the call hits home. And yeah, so it's just us today.
Yeah. I think it is important for us to talk about. And I think, it's being kind of like we talked about already, this one being a little bit more real, a little bit more raw in terms of just life and where life can take us sometimes. And I don't know if it's okay, Jennifer, but maybe I start by talking a little bit about my role and what
Yes,
I do
please
in
do.
life. So I think a lot of people, obviously, they know me from this podcast, but they maybe don't realize that, like, I kind of have my I don't even know. Is there a saying for this? Hand and everything. So I have my own private practice, right?
Hmm.
Where we have like other clinicians here, a whole front desk and a biller. And so kind of have to run that. And then I do have a co-owner though. She's amazing. That's helpful to have somebody else too. But that's one part of my life. Another part of my life is this work that I do with first responders. And in that, I do contract with several different departments in terms of just like neck up checkups or critical incidences, obviously seeing people individually for therapy and all that. But my primary role now has been with the sheriff's office, which a lot of people are familiar with since we've had chief on here and things like that. But I think what we don't necessarily talk a lot about is this notion of like, hey, because I have all that going on, sometimes it's hard for me to dedicate the time that I probably should to the podcast, right? Because my brain and my energy is everywhere. And it's a very beautiful thing. It's a positive thing a lot of the times, but there are moments where it's absolutely exhausting, like this week. Jennifer and I were supposed to record earlier in the week and didn't work out that way because I had some events unfold over the weekend. And then I had a meeting when we were supposed to record. And then from that meeting, I went into having to work at like, I think three something in the morning, got woken up, and then just kind of have been behind the ball since then. And it is something that, again, in the moment, absolutely my favorite thing in this world because this is my passion, being able to help first responders, being there in some of these tough moments, but then it sets everything else behind. Jennifer and I were just talking about this fact that like I hadn't slept. Um, and I am not the human that can go on little sleep. Just not. I get pretty cranky and I can feel my whole self just like fading. And so yesterday I had to make some tougher decisions for myself because I want to be there for everybody and make sure I'm doing a good job in every way, but I couldn't really be there if I couldn't show up for myself. And I realized that like I need sleep desperately. I'm not going to be any good to anybody when I'm feeling this way, when I'm so drained that I can't even keep my eyes open. So I slept, I took a nap and it was solid. And then it was like a solid night's sleep. I woke up feeling completely refreshed, but it just kind of brought us to this topic of like, one, how do we prioritize the podcast? And then two,
Right.
like, what is, the fear of us burning out or the fear of, not having the capacity to do things anymore? And how do we prioritize? And Jennifer, I'm going to hand it over to you because I think you made such a good point just now about what does that look like sometimes, and how do we approach it?
Yeah, well, one, I just want to come back to how much we are always grateful and thankful for our listeners. This podcast would not exist if it wasn't for y'all that listen. And yeah, Ashley, I appreciate you sharing about how full just your professional life is. And, you are such an incredible, talented clinician, but I think it's important for our listeners to know, like, you have a life and family outside of your work too. Like, I think sometimes we can so over-identify with our careers. That's just kind of our part of our culture as, what do you do for a living? And things, but I also think that you have a full life with friends and family that you care deeply for and prioritize too. And it can be really hard to prioritize all those things. And you didn't even mention, I don't know, maybe edit this out, but like there's a new chapter two in your career about
Yeah.
professing. I don't know, are we allowed to tell our
Yeah, I
listeners
think
about that?
so. Yeah, I did accept a position as a adjunct professor at a college up by me. So,
Yeah. So again, Ashley is booked and busy. And one thing that I often, when we're messaging our wonderful guests that have been on the show. It's like the hardest thing about podcasting is really trying to get three adults' schedules to align. Like that, it's a lot of moving parts for sure. But yeah, so Ashley and I were having a discussion, and we just really wanted to bring it to you guys just about we have loved doing this podcast. It has been such a passion project and so easy in so many ways in terms of how things have like obviously we worked for them, but they've also kind of fallen in our laps in some ways. And it's been beautiful. And it's just been a little bit of a tougher season. And so we're just kind of reevaluating that. And in that reevaluation, it is, I think something that comes up in people's career. And I see this a lot with first responders, especially ones that are been at the job for more than a year, is that, burnout is a real thing and that we can really I would say, can get really crispy with things. And I think some signs of burnout are, when you don't have energy, when it feels like it's non-stop, that you never get a break. You get a break, you get a vacation, and it's just like you didn't even have it. It didn't even exist. And some of the stuff that we talk about with, being child of first responders and the family piece of like, recognizing I'm coming home and I'm really snippy with my family, or I've had times as a parent of like, I love my kid, and yet can they please just go in the other room and watch TV so I can like have 5 minutes to myself? Like, and I'm not a first responder. So I think that that's a really normal experience. And so I think to kind of evaluate that is important for people in this career. And like, what can you do to burnout? And I think Ashley and I hope this is okay, Ashley, is us being really honest with each other and kind of where are we at? And sometimes it's important to recognize, like, okay, what are our priorities? And that doesn't mean that we don't care about something or something's not a priority to ourselves, but to recognize if I want to do a good job, I have to recognize, like, what can I give of myself to everything? And sometimes it is like, I just need to take a vacation day. Like I have to take that. And it sucks. I might be letting people down or disappointing people, but sometimes, I just have to do that.
Yeah.
The one thing that I've always lectured first responders on is this, this hyper vigilance that we can get in sometimes. And like, it does suck when you go on vacation, you come back and your inbox is full with 1,000 things. But like, if you can't go on vacation without feeling like you got to check your email, like, what's our relationship to this job kind of thing? And like, those things can be hard to evaluate. And I've had to work with a lot of people about, I feel like if I'm taking care of myself personally, then that means I'm bad at my job. And I think that that's a real black and white thinking. And sometimes we can be way better at our job when we're taking that time to evaluate and say, hey, I am a human being in this. And again, this idea of our families, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's some times when we have to back up and say, like, I'm not this job. I'm my child's parent, and my child's needing this right now. What does that look like? As usual, I feel like I just went on a tangent, but
No, I think it's a great one. I mean, because it's all so very, very true, right? And like, I think I'll be on, I mean, I'm always honest in terms of like being
of
open, but
course you are.
I know it's bad sometimes, right? But I mean, there's so much truth to like, I have so much passion for what I do in my career that like, yeah, I probably do hinder myself personally because of that, you know? And and I know we've talked about this, but sometimes when life is really rough, it's so much easier to continue to pour into something else,
Hmm.
and stop and take that reflection.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it's kind of a way of avoidance, but it doesn't make you feel like you're avoiding because you're feeling full on another side. I am very blessed with where I'm at because everybody is very like, hey, Doc G, you're gonna run out. Like, are you
Hmm.
taking care of you? Are you, do you have a therapist? Are you, like very supportive, encouraging of me doing these things, of me taking care of myself. And that's what's wild is a lot of the times I feel like when I talk to people, myself included, really it's our own thought process. It's our internal thought process
Hmm.
that's like kind of blocking this notion of like, no, it's okay. It is okay to take care of yourself. It is okay to hit pause or like you're saying, reevaluate our priorities and say,
Hmm.
how can we shift some things around to do what we need to do in life to make sure we're okay?
Right. Well, and I think that that's such a thing that can happen when we're in professions that are in service to others, right? We can really see that in our peers and our colleagues and, like, hey, you okay, man? Are you okay? Like, take care of yourself, take care of yourself. And that's such good advice that we can dole out and not always the advice that we take. And what I see in terms of that theme is this idea of how selfish that feels. That feels really selfish.
Yes.
If I have somebody that, or, we're short-staffed at work and they need me to cover this shift. Well, I'm being selfish if I'm not doing that. And I think it's sometimes about, checking your temperature. I think that there's times where it's like, I'm exhausted and I just want to sit on my couch all day, but I can muscle through this shift and be okay. And other times where it is like, no, I've worked 30 days in a row. I need this day off. And that, there are labor laws. Like you're not supposed to work like so many hours too, right? But I see that kind of cycle that people can get in to think if I'm not showing up, then who is going to show up? And if I'm not willing to do it, and it can really be, again, this place of feeling really selfish if I'm thinking about what my needs are. And, what I've kind of encouraged in that is like, what would balance look like? Because what I see happen, and Ashlee, you tell me if this is something you've ever experienced, is I see these people that are so selfless in these acts. And again, it's about showing up there for my team or my brothers and sisters, or I know if I needed them, they'd show up for me. So I want to show up for them. Those are all a wonderful value system for sure, but I think happens in those situations where we are showing up in such a way and putting ourselves last that then we become the ultimate kind of opposite of what we want to be, and that, the wheels fall off the cart.
Yeah.
And we go from being so selfless to then it really does turn into this selfishness because we get to those places of burnout. Our attitude completely changes. We go from feeling like we want to help people to feeling like people are taking advantage of us. And it becomes this kind of real rebellion of that value system that we have about, taking care of others and being into service of others. And I had this said by another colleague that said it beautifully. And I don't know that I'll capture it, but compassion without boundaries can be really dangerous. And it is this idea of like we have this care for others and this, openness. And if we don't have a boundary with that, again, it's that thing of we become a doormat or people take from our well so much that we're all dried out. And I think it's just important to kind of recognize when that's happening for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I actually really love that. And it's resonating a lot with me. I actually, right before we jumped on here, so it's kind of funny that this is all coming full circle. You were dead on in terms of my personal life, right? And I absolutely love my family. Like, if anybody knows me, they know that I will go above and beyond
Hmm.
for everybody in my family. And it's just what it is. Being with my family definitely can refill my cup, but I will go out of my way to make something happen, which is where it can be draining for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And so like
absolutely.
this weekend coming up, it's a big weekend, right? So one of my cousins is coming home from being in Australia, which is so cool.
Oh,
And
wow.
my dad's birthday is Saturday.
Happy
I
birthday,
know.
Dad.
Can't believe he's gonna be 59. That's wild. And then Sunday's Mother's Day, right? And so it was this notion of, hey, we have this family dinner on Friday night, and then we have dad's birthday thing on Saturday, and then we have Mother's Day on Sunday. And I was like, oh, this sounds great. This all sounds great. And then this event transpired this week, in which has, like I said, has kind of set me back just in terms of like sleep and scheduling and all these things. And on Friday now I'm running debriefs, and that's a part of my job that I love very much. And my brain right away was like, okay, it's no problem. Like I can still get to the dinner. I might be a little late. Like if a debrief runs a little late, I might be a little late. And but I could still make it. I'll still make it happen. And then this whole other part of me was like, I'm so tired, like of
Hmm.
running.
Yeah.
And nobody in my family expects me to be there if I can't be there, but it's my
Hmm.
own pressure and feeling bad, right? Probably FOMO too, right?
Hmm.
Just like wanting to be there. And I finally was like, I was gonna do like a play it by ear tomorrow thing. And then I was like, no, like
Hmm.
what I really want to do is hit my hot yin yoga class because that's the one thing I have found to like literally put my body at ease.
Hmm.
And then I want to wake up in the morning and go to my favorite thing in the world, which is the farmer's market here. And, well, okay, besides the Bears. And
It's just
then
not football season right now,
just
Ashley. We get
right. Yes, yes.
it.
And then I can go to my dad's and go to his party at night and spend the night and go to Mother's Day. Like, I don't have to make everything happen.
Right.
And I will do that. Like, I will push myself, but then the whole time I'm just exhausted. And I'm like, why do I keep doing this to myself? It doesn't mean I love anybody less.
Yeah.
They love me less, right? But like it's just that notion of being able to say no, like those boundaries, put them in place and realize like, no, I got to take care of me for a minute here.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that's important. And I think that recognizing too that people that support us can understand and respect that boundary. So that doesn't mean that they're not going to be upset or bummed that they're going to miss you. And they might say, like, hey, man, that sucks. We really wanted to have you there, but also can be understanding. And I've found that, over the years of like, oh, the people that can really respect that I can't be at 20 places at once, or I've made this other commitment to somebody else before, they can really respect that. And I'll say, my own experience of, moving out of state and being at a place that like I had a lot of friends and commitments and things that, I was very grateful for. And moving, kind of recognizing, oh, some of these relationships I now see were a little bit more one way than a two-way street. And that's, a hard thing. And I definitely am so grateful for those friendships and relationships. And I would be being dishonest if I wasn't saying like there's not some sadness with that at times. But it is kind of recognizing like there are people that will show up for us in life. There's a quality in those relationships, and there's some that are unbalanced, and kind of recognizing like if we say no to somebody, their reaction to it is kind of a good sign of like, where is this relationship at? Where is this friendship? And I think in some ways that's a work relationship
Yeah.
too. Like, if you've needed me to show up and cover, and I have, and there's a place where I'm telling you, like, I can't, and, you know, somebody's trying to like coerce you or pressure you or things like that, like, no is a complete sentence at times,
Yeah.
like, and that can be really hard in those like work dynamics.
Yeah. And I think it's just making sure you're still, with all this being said, some ways, I mean, a little bit of ways to help. And something that I continuously have to work on is like taking care of myself. And what does that look like for me? And, I brought up the hot yin yoga and I laugh about it. I never thought I would do yoga or like yoga. And then I got challenged and encouraged to go. And I absolutely love it. And this one class specifically, I love going to because, like I said, it feels like it's pretty much the only place that I can turn my brain off, and sometimes that's even hard, but and I like have to tell myself throughout the class like, hey, focus. But still that's better than what I usually do, and stretch and like allow my like just take care of myself for an hour and a half. So I challenge people for that too, like trying something new, finding something else you can do, finding the things that you really love and continue to do them. I just told you how this whole week I've been like, I'm behind, I'm behind, I'm behind.
Hmm.
And yet on the other hand, I was like, oh, I just don't even feel good about myself because I haven't gone to any of my classes and I haven't, and I was like, I needed to really just get back into that for my own mindset.
Yeah. And I've probably mentioned this on here before, but like a kind of classic therapy kind of intervention is this kind of magic wand, right? Like if I had a magic wand, and I could give it to you, and you could change anything in your life, what would that look like? And anytime that that's come up in session with me, like 9 times out of 10, what that magic wand, what people want is more time, right? And it's like, oh, well, that's something we can really explore and look at. Like, what are the things that are taking your time? And like, how do we empower ourselves to say, like, hey, we're spending too much time in this thing that we don't want to be doing, or, here in Texas, like my commute's insane and, things like that. So, I think that's an important thing to explore. And especially, I think with this whole idea of burnout, it's a lot about your time and what you're spending your time and energy doing, which I wanted to reference this book. I like got it ready and I haven't even
Absolutely.
referenced it. So the book is Burnout. So that hopefully is easy to remember. The Secret to Unlocking Stress Cycle, and it's by Emily and Amelia Nagasaki, I think is what that is. But it's just really, I mean, it's a good reference point in terms of like exploring different ways to kind of avoid, again, this place of getting really crispy, especially when you're in this career for a long time. We've talked about here about, you could really be eaten up and spit out. And so these are some ways that you can explore kind of taking care of you in these situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I guess that brings us to the point of what we kind of concluded, like, from this
Right.
conversation prior to hitting record. And we hope that it comes across as a positive thing, right? In several ways. One for us, like ourselves, Jennifer and I, and then two for you guys and the content and what we can bring to the table. But I think, and is it okay that I share, right?
Yeah, no,
I
it is time, and it
that
was
we have
important to share.
decided that instead of releasing an episode every other week, that we are going to try to do once a month.
Hmm.
And I think one that will give us a little bit more content and availability, especially if we do want to have guests on here and do those things. It's not so scrunched, it's not so pressured, a little bit more flexibility in our time and in even producer, right? Like being able to listen to us and get that done, that gives them more time. Again, if this notion is taking back control of time, still being able to do the things we love, but we have to try to find a little bit of a change to make it even better for us, right?
Right. And I think again, it's this idea of like, we're so appreciative of your time and respect it. And what we don't want to do is come in and rush things or not. I mean, your time is valuable. The fact that you're giving us, our voices, a chance, like we really just want to respect that. And we think this is a better option than us just being like throwing up our hands and saying, we're done. Like to say, like, no, we care about this. We want to continue. Like it is important. Our experiences of coming in families of first responders, and this is an important community, and we don't want to give up on that. And this is how we just like give our commitment to y'all in the best way for sure. You're shaking your head, so I hope that's a good sign, right?
I am. I'm
Like,
loving this. I'm loving this very much. And that's why I said too, that's why I started it. It's like, I hope people see this as a positive. Like, we don't want to bum
mhm.
anybody out, of course, by not doing every other, but it's not that we're going anywhere. We want to dedicate the appropriate time and energy that they deserve just as much as we deserve towards this. And it's something we very much love. I love when the call hits home. I love our listeners. I love where it's gotten us. It's such a beautiful thing. And so you're
Right.
right. I don't think it should go anywhere. We just got to make sure we figure out what that best pattern process, whatever you want to call it, is for us.
Well, and I always love working smarter, not harder,
Yeah.
like, and with schedules and Ashley, mentioning, I mean, she definitely just needs a personal assistant, but, that's just not
Did I
the
ever tell
budget
you guys
yet.
that I asked my dad? I literally asked him, I was like, Dad, like, because something came up while I was at Alita, and I was like, I don't know. He was like, that'd be so cool if you could kind of get into doing this and that. And I was like, yeah. And so, like, are you going to help me? Like, are you going to, like book my hotels and, like make sure stay on it? I was like, you could be my assistant. You can travel with me. And he said, I'm too expensive for you. I was like, oh, thank you, Dad. Like,
Right. Yeah, we could probably never afford him for sure.
ever.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
it was funny. I just had to share that because it's,
Yeah.
yeah, that personal assistant thing isn't necessarily wrong. It's
No.
really wrong.
Yeah. Chief needs to look at the budget and see how to make that happen for you.
He has been pushing. I gotta get, I look, he's gonna listen and be like, they talked about me again. I gotta give him he has been like, hey, like, keep networking. Like, maybe you should get an intern. Like, he has been trying to help because he sees how much that I do. But then I get like, this is a me thing. I personalize. I get the other day I looked at him and I was like, do you just not believe in me? Like, do you not believe that I can handle it all? And he looked at me like, are you crazy? That is not what I'm saying. But I was like, why do you keep saying that? And he's like, because you need a break. You
Yeah.
need a break. Like, and I was like, okay, fair, 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 fair. So not
Well, and it's
wrong.
hard sometimes, especially like the when you're running a business. I mean,
Yeah.
heck, I just had to do taxes and I didn't go to school to do taxes. Like,
No,
there
those
are
are a
just these
whole different
like
episode.
little things that you have to like and I definitely know, I mean, especially our firefighters, like they all have their contracting business too. Like they get it.
All of them. Yes.
Um, but yeah, like it's hard running a small business and it's its own, like you're wearing lots of hats just doing that job alone and not to mention all the other things that you're doing. So, but yeah, so we're excited to check in with you once a month and we'll be in your birthday month next. Oh
Yeah.
wait, July, July.
July's my, yeah.
Yeah,
Almost.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's our birthday month.
Yes.
I don't know why I always want to put you in June, but anyways.
But yeah, so we will do that. We will see you
Yeah.
guys in June. We'll release
Yes.
again and we'll keep going from there.
Yeah. We'll see you guys. Have a good one. Thanks again for listening when the call hits home. And what do you got for us, Ashley?
I got that when the call hits home. Still, no matter what, Jennifer and I are here for you. All
Yeah.
right, guys.
Bye.